I'm in my garden. The birds are singing. The sun is starting to descend now over the horizon, and it is absolutely peaceful and beautiful and gorgeous. And my two grandiflora roses, the purple one and the white one, are both having a bud. They have a rose bud, and it is still closed. And the purple one is gonna open up first because that bud is a little bigger already. And I just noticed before I sat down, I noticed that the white one is having a bud now too, all the way on the top. Fantastic! I am so excited. Those are two grandifloras. Those are the largest roses in the world. They have a flower that is as big as, I don't know, as big as maybe a watermelon or something, like, as big as kind of like my face. So I can put this in my face like this and smell it. It's gonna be gorgeous. And oh yeah, the other day we went to an abandoned lot. That's our favorite lot that we go to with the Papa dog. And it is so beautiful. It's right next to a river. And right now, all the wildflowers are in bloom over there. And it has a hedgerow that is growing there wild. Real large, wild, abundantly growing hedgerows. And it's a wild rose. That is not a cultivated rose, and that is, I think, one of the original rose species that people have cultivated and made bigger. So they bred them specifically, they used the biggest ones and they pollinated those, they cross-pollinated those, and through, many hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, they have, through human cultivation of roses, they have grown these really large grandiflora. Grandiflora means large flower. So the roses with a very large flower head, almost as big as the rhododendron. So the rhododendron consists of like a flower kind of head, like a bouquet of many of those bellflowers, so next to one another. And the roses, they consist of single petals that are growing next to one another and opening up and emitting this amazingly high making smell. Rose is really, that is the queen of all flowers, and really the symbol of feminism, of femininity. Feminist femininity. That was a Freudian slip. So it is the epitome of feminism. So these two plants there are feminists. Yes, they are infinitely feminine. That's what they are. And I am so excited to harvest the flowers, because what I do is, what I've always been doing is, I pick the flower up directly, I break the stem directly under the bud. Like the bud opens up into the flower, so right under the bud is the neck, sort of, and that's a green and very crisp and fresh, and it bends off real easily, so it's not elastic or It's not tough like some other plants are. So it kind of snaps off. And my gardener, our former gardener, long time ago, from my grandfather's gardener, he knew how to cultivate roses, and they had many roses in my grandfather's garden. And I always picked these rosettes, and he told me that it's actually very beneficial for the rose brush once the rose flower is in full bloom and complete bloom, just before it starts to wilt. I mean, you don't want to, if it wilts, then it's already a little bit past that, but you can pick it when it's in absolute full bloom. I mean, it looks nice to have it there, and it's okay to leave the flower standing there, and as long as it is in full bloom, and you can let it wilt. But it is better to pick the flower when it's completely open, to pick it up before it wilts, because then it's still fresh. You pick it up, and out of that stem will grow 5 new buds and 5 new flowers. So that's how it works, and that's how it grows and proliferates itself. And in the meantime, we can pick up this amazing flower without the stem, just the head of the flower, and we can lay this out in the house on a tablecloth and let it dry and not put it in water. That just causes mold and stuff and bacteria. So I'm against putting flowers in a vase with water. So when I pick flowers, with roses I only get the flower. With some other flowers I might pick it up by the stem. I might take a pruner. Sometimes they're very tough, like chamomile. You take a pruner, you clip it like halfway down the stem, and then you can dry that on a tablecloth. So and the roses, you lay them out on the tablecloth. I did this also with the camellia that we have there, Camellia japonica Professor Sargent, that always flowers in somewhere around February and March. So that one already had its flowers, and I picked many of them. And you can eat those too. They taste kind of bitter. The roses actually, they taste a little soapy, and they're real good for you to eat fresh roses. Real good. The Iranians actually make rose ice cream, and I think that is very, very fantastic. I used to live in West LA, and almost everyone living in West LA is Iranian, except for me. I'm German. So I lived in this apartment, but some were Chinese also. There was a Chinese girl, real sweet. She was also going to Santa Monica College. At the same time, I was going to Santa Monica College, and she had her dogs there, and I had a dog there. And she was very sweet, and I had this Iranian boyfriend that turned out pretty sour, that relationship. So he became violent, but before he became violent, it worked out so for a while. And he took me out there to West LA and showed me the Iranian ice cream stores, and told me that they make rose ice cream, and I thought that is very, very, very nice. So I wish people would focus on the positive things in their cultures and not on the violent things. That would be very nice. Rose ice cream, yes. Jihad, no. Okay, so, and they probably have some other really, really gourmet food and nice things also, but no to halal. Okay, so no to kosher. But anyway, anything positive is good, you know. Focus on that and cultivate that and make it nicer and be good to each other and be good to every living being, no matter what their belief system or beliefs or non-beliefs are. Be good to every living being, you know. That is my message for the world. And don't snap at the drop of a hat and don't take everything so personally. Don Miguel Ruiz, a Mexican writer, wonderful man. He wrote a book and he said, don't take anything personally that people do. Everyone has their story, and whatever people do or the way they react is because of the way they have been conditioned and the way they are just perceiving your behavior or your actions or your facial expressions. And it may not have anything to do with you at all. It probably doesn't, you know. It's just something that we unintentionally trigger in someone, and that reactionist kind of way of behaving, that has got to stop. Okay, people have to go within themselves. They have to stop monitoring other people's behavior and moods and moves and facial expressions, and just kind of like I kind of like I don't know what the word is for it. It's a word in German, belauern. You know, they kind of like they're fixated on the how someone else behaves. So that has to stop. You know, let other people behave, and just not not go by how someone acts. You know, if someone is violent to me physically, I will defend myself. And with Javad, I had to actually ask people for help on the street because he was becoming physically abusive. No one helped me, so I pushed him away when he tried to push himself into my apartment, and then he became violent and he beat me up. And I had to scream for help, and another Iranian guy, someone who was educated, someone who was at Santa Monica College, he came to help me. So there are good Iranians, there are bad Iranians, there are psychopaths, and there are very kind-hearted people. Javad told me that there was, in Tehran, there was a woman that he has seen himself. He went there in person to see her, a woman like Mother Teresa for the animals, an Iranian woman in Tehran who was crying every day over the animals, the animal abuse. A girl, a woman who was rescuing animals all the time, and she was so courageous that she also went against their religion because their religion is psychopathic. So she went against that because she cared, and she didn't care if she would get punished for it. She put love above everything else. And yeah, those angel souls and God level souls, they're everywhere on the whole, around the whole globe, in every society, in the most troubled societies around the world. There are some of those, okay, and they come there to help, you know. Those are very advanced souls, and they take on a lot to live there in such places. Well, Javad was not an evolved soul. He was a stagnator soul, and that's why he beat me up. Okay, I never let him into my apartment again after that. And he came stalking me all night long and calling my phone, leaving very obscene phone messages. I didn't even know that one could block a phone number at that time, so that was long before the internet also. But yeah, but there are good things also, you know. There are good things happening also in Iran or anywhere around the world. There's rose ice cream, you know. There are there are animal rights activists everywhere, you know. It becomes quite dangerous in those places to be an activist, but they exist anyway because they are very advanced souls. But they're very rare, very, very rare. But they exist there too, and they will do their work. Okay. There's one woman in Kenya, a wonderful native Kenyan woman, very educated, coming from a very educated and very sophisticated family, a black woman from Kenya who sat in trees to protect them. So very advanced angel soul. So you see, they're all over the planet, and they're very rare, but they exist, and they are here to help us. And it's very moving, it's very touching, touches me to tears that those people exist and that are there to help, and that are there to risk their lives to save the animals in Africa and around the world and save the forests. So the rainforests in the Amazon. So there are those people, and they take a bullet anytime because they want to help. They want to make the world a better place. Those are the very, very advanced, courageous people. Those are the most hated people because the majority of humans are not advanced, and they will hate those type of people. Like I said many times before, they hate Leonard Stechik, a very deeply caring boy. So it is the most hated person is the kindest person. So that should not deter us from being kind. Very important to know. So anyway, I think that's really, really great that they make rose ice cream, and I want to make a rose vegan milkshake with soy milk. I'm planning on doing this with those roses. God, that must be so amazing. And I think they smell so amazing, those roses. And what I do is, with rose petals, I've been doing this for many, many, many years. I dry them, or I even use them fresh, and I put them into a self-sewn cotton tea bag. And I make a string for the top, and I stuff that in it. I close it with the string on the top. I put that into my thermos can, and I pour boiling water on it, and I let that simmer in there for many hours, and I drink it hot, and it tastes absolutely fantastic. And last night I made myself a rose tea. I drank like, it was like 3 cups that fit into my handheld thermos that I have for the van. I have 2 of those from Ozark Trail. Those are, they're really nice, hold a lot of tea. And I made myself rose tea last night with a bag of rose petals from the wild roses out there from that abandoned lot. And those are pink wild roses. They don't have as many petals, but and they're smaller. They're like this size, and they have, I don't, they have, sort of, they're much flatter. They're not as, they don't have that many petals that are convoluted in each other. So they're more like the wild roses. They're more like a regular flower, sort of, you know, more like a like like the flower petals that go out to the side, just like this in a circle, maybe one other layer on top. So when they cultivated the roses, they made them so the ones that had more petals, they cultivated those. So until they finally got those that had whole lot of petals and were like a big abundant ball like this. So, and they made them also smell stronger, have more of a soapy perfume smell, and unbelievably amazing scent. Incredible. and they're also very, very powerful. That's a very powerful nerve tonic. And I felt it when I drank that last night for dinner. I drank that tea, and I could feel it, how it was giving me strength. It was nurturing my brain. It felt so incredibly good. And it's also good for the whole body and the skin and everything. It's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to making tea with those roses here and with my really large roses. And I'm also gonna make myself a rose soy milkshake, vegan, with rose petals, bananas, and soy milk. And that's gonna be so awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Yes, that's awesome. We're gonna leave those here. Yeah, we're gonna eventually sell this property, and the roses come with the property because that raises the value dramatically to have such an outstanding roses growing here, and all these rhododendron, the people before us that cultivated those there. What an incredible abundance of rhododendron brush. So they've already wilted now, but it is such a joy. Some of them are still there on the bottom. They are such a joy. So yeah, I also wanted to talk about in this video, I wanted to talk about what I observe on the internet. You know, I see under women's videos, I see under, I don't know, all kinds of talk videos, show videos, wherever I check, whatever I look at, you know, different people, it interests me how people interact in all of this. And in chat rooms, of course, you know, and on Facebook. So I see that, so what I observe is, I observe the men from India, they really like the white, fat women. So they're really into that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's genetic, you know, they like that. And so the men from India, they're always very sweet and polite, you know. Even those that are not nice people, they always, at least they act polite. And when they like a woman, they will also let that known, you know, they will show that, they're not going to hide it, they're going to be straightforward with that. So the men from the Middle East, they come onto a woman, they'll also show it that they want the woman, but they come onto the woman with a demand. They're like straightforward with a very aggressive demand. They're like, you better, you know, like, so, and the white men around the globe, most white men around the globe, when they come onto a woman, they come onto a woman in a very twisted way. They come, not everyone is mean, but I notice there's a lot of them. I don't know, they may be very young. So I can never tell how old someone is, really. I mean, you don't see it. And if you ask them, many of them lie and say they're over 18 when they're like really 15 or 14 or 13. So a lot of boys at age 12 or 13, some of them are like kind of premature sexually, and they don't know how to behave at all around girls or women. They're like super rude to them. So, but my message goes out to the teenagers and to the adult men, of any group, of any ethnicity, any of you out there, you know. And so I noticed the men, the black men from Africa are also more like the men in India. They're really sweet, even if if they're not really sweet people, at least they come onto a woman in a sweet way. So while the men in the United States, black or white, when they come onto a woman, it's more in a roundabout way. So the black men are a little bit more straightforward than the white men. So the white men are the most, they act like they're embarrassed. That's what I noticed. They act like they are ashamed about coming onto a woman, and particularly coming onto a chubby woman. And there's one thing I noticed is that almost all men, and this, I'm not lying to you, I'm really serious, almost all men, I actually would say all men in reproductive age want chubby, overweight women. Okay. So the black men like the white women, and the white men like the darker women or the black women. They like black, Indian, Middle Eastern, you know, darker skin. So, and that's genetic. But they all like chubby. But they don't admit to you, because the fashion industry, and I've talked about this many times, but I really see this with shock, really, how embarrassed these people are, and then they make chubby women feel embarrassed about being chubby, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. Huh? All you girls out there who are overweight, there's nothing wrong with you. That's normal, that was regarded as, during the 1500s, 1400s, that was regarded as prosperous. So as soon as it was regarded as prosperous, then it was depicted in paintings by Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, Rubens. All of them painted the women very abundant physically, okay? And interestingly, they didn't like too large breasts. They liked firm half breasts, sort of like a half an apple. That's what they liked. Half an apple of a breast, firm breast that kind of like a teenage breast, but with a very, very voluptuous, big, fat body and big guts. So yeah, times have shifted completely, So now they want Barbie dolls with watermelon boobs. So, but I can tell you one thing is, all men secretly want women to be chubby. Okay, I see this, I observe it, I feel it, I see it, I notice it when I go shopping, I see it everywhere. Everywhere I go, everywhere I look, I observe. And I see this. And I see also, those chubby women particularly with naturally big breasts. Those are the absolute favorites, of course. And the men that would never admit to this, married men that married to a very thin photo model, they show themselves with the photo model. Yes, that is their pride. Yes, it's all wonderful. But then secretly they go on the internet, and there they go check out those fat Russian women with big boobs. And they go to Pornhub, and they feel a lot of pleasure when they see those, So that's a total contradiction right there. Yeah. So I see it in chat rooms, I see it everywhere. Men want chubby women with naturally big boobs. Okay, that's what they want. And here the women out there, they all feel ashamed about any gram of fat on their bodies, and they think that is They think that is low class or whatever, and ba- they 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 go through all kinds of strife to self-sacrifice and all of this flagellation to stay skinny, and here men don't even want that. So I don't, this is such a contradiction, my goodness. I mean, we are animals, you know, men want big, and I totally get it. I totally understand. This is normal, that's healthy, you know. But that's not that healthy to not admit that, you know. This is not good for you if you are, if you act this way outwardly and this way secretly, you know. That's not the good way of living. That's like living a double life, you know. That's not honest to yourself. And all of this out of shame, out of social fear and shame, what other people might think of you. And then also the way they come on to the chubby women, including myself, you know, they come on and they come on with hostility. And then naturally we think they find us awful. Naturally we block them, we get rid of them. We think they're haters. We think we don't even know what they want. You know, why do they even talk to us? You know? But they come up and they throw hate. And that's the only way I think they do it, because they out of this conflicted need, out of this collision of contradictory needs and wishes. They want the chubby woman, but they don't want to be seen wanting her by others. See, that's the thing. So if we could just come clean with what we want, you know, including also all the gay people out there, if you could just become clean with who you are and what you want, you know, if you're straight, if you like chubby women, then come clean with it to yourself and to society, and don't worry about being bullied by anyone or having someone look down on you and having someone mock you. Ignore that person. You know, stand up for it. There are some men that are doing this. There are some men out there that are activists in this way, that are standing up and they say that they like chubby women or heavier women, and they go for it, and they don't make that a secret, and they also make videos about it, and they get a lot of hate again. They get hate from those that don't want to admit to it. Yeah? See, why don't we just come clean within ourselves? Then we don't have to be hating anyone anymore. I hope that makes a lot of sense. So, and this Owen Cook, he already gives a lot of seminars to men, and and I watched some of the videos, and it's incredible. It's shocking to see the audience there of these men hunched over, feeling really low about themselves, but at the same time, I can already see in their facial expressions that they're haters. You know, that they're the ones that are gonna be throwing insults at women. At the same time, they feel extremely low about themselves. But that's what a hater does. A hater who puts someone else down feels low about himself. And then they will bully the very woman they want, because they want to approach her, but they can't approach her in a nice way. So because they're too afraid that their comment might be seen by someone else, and then someone else might think, oh, that dude, he must be low class, that he's hitting on this fat woman, or he'll fuck anyone, even a garbage can. You know, we hear those things all over the place. So that's what keeps these people in that loop of hiding and shame and all of this. Why don't we break out of this? Why don't you, every one of you, break out of this right now and say, I don't care if someone bullies me, I'm gonna go for it. And you can do this without having a bottle of whiskey in your brain. Okay, you can do this also without any kind of booze and any kind of substance. You can stand there sober and you can say to other people, I like this or that person. I like this. I like chubby women. Why don't you say that to your friends? So without alcohol in your, yes, I see in the chat rooms, like it's every day the same thing, like I go into a chat room, let's say 5 p.m. yeah, Pacific Standard Time. There'll be 8 p.m. New York time, East Coast time, and so that's when they after they ate dinner, after they had come home, they start drinking. Okay, they are still shy and all of this, but an hour later, that's when that's when the language becomes more loose. That's when they become also more violent in their expression. And then an hour later, after that, then they'll everything comes out to the surface because of the booze. We can do this without the booze. We can be very honest to ourselves, and we can admit to ourselves, this is what I like, this is what I want, I'm going to pursue it, I'm going to ask this person out, I'm going to, even if I get rejected, so what? So it's better to be honest and be straightforward than come through like sneakily around the corner and stab someone in the back. So yeah, that's not fun. No woman wants to be insulted. If you want a woman, if you like a woman, then why aren't you nice to her? Be nice to her. That's also what Owen Cook said. He says, we love women, don't we? Because he already sees that in their faces, that they're so beaten down psychologically that they actually hate women for it. Like Elliot Rodger. He wanted them and he hated them. So it's like the first step is, man, you gotta first of all love yourself for who you are. It doesn't matter whether you are this or that ethnicity or culture or whatever background. Yeah, you're a living being. You're precious, precious living being. Every cell of your body is precious, just like everybody else's cells. Like my cells, like the dog's cells, like the plants, all life cells, like Brad Pitt's cells, Angelina Jolie's, and Logan Paul's, and Mike's, and all of these people, we're all equally precious, no matter how much people have been mean to themselves before, no matter what they do. Some people prostitute themselves. Some people don't respect their own bodies. Some people don't respect their own minds. You have to realize that you are equally precious to all life, okay? To everyone. Everyone is has equally precious cells. Yeah, these cells here, they're infinitely precious, and so are you, and so am I, okay? And so is everyone, gay or straight, whatever, whoever we are, tall or short, fat or thin. So if you're starving yourselves, my message to you is you're precious, infinite. Sandy, I love you, infinitely precious angel soul. Please don't starve yourself. Eat, baby. And eat whole vegan food. Nurture your body. Make a lot of watermelon blends. A lot of fruit blends. Eat a lot of vegetables. A lot of salads. A lot of good stuff. And nurture yourselves. And be good to yourselves and love yourselves. And all the men out there, be good to yourselves. Don't drink alcohol. That's not being good to yourself. And all that dating and mating and all of this is not fun with alcohol. I've been through all of this in my past. I know how bad it is. I know how ridiculous it is. It doesn't make any sense. It's so much better sober. Trust me on this. I know this for sure. So, but we need to develop trust in ourselves, love in ourselves. We need to develop trust in others, you know. And if some people hate us and bully us, then we move on. You don't have to deal with those people. You can move on. Yeah. Go to someone else. And if necessary, don't make friends at all, but be courageous and walk through life bravely and speak out, for justice, for love. That's my message for the world. Really, bring love into the world. You will find someone. You will find someone who you can trust, you can feel comfortable with. For us women, it's the absolute bottom line for any kind of getting into the mood at all. We cannot get into the mood for sure if we don't fully trust. The trust has to be absolutely rock solid, or it's not going to happen, okay? Because we're very sensitive creatures, okay? So you guys, take care. Peace out.